introductions short so we can make advantage of the full hour here we have. Us, Damien, your host, and I'm joined by the higher than average nerd, Dave. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Dave here from The Average Nerds. I'm just part of this podcast called The Average Nerd
He was
Podcast.
really, I mean, he's being humble. He was like, "Oh my God, can I please come on with you and
Yeah,
talk to Quicks? Let's not
definitely,
downplay it."
definitely been a big fan of Quicks for a while, and lucky to have some of his pieces, and been lucky to meet Carlo and Quicks a few times here in the States and also in the Philippines. So glad to be part of this. Thank you, Damien.
Yep, no, of
Thank you,
course,
Dave.
of course. I love hanging out with you, Dave. You know that. And then Carlo, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Carlo Mendoza. I'm the business partner of Quicks, so I handle a lot of the business side of the Quicks brand. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then you need no introduction, Quicks, but Quicks, toy
Hi guys.
designer, design two-time toy designer of the year recipient 2018, 2019. You just really been doing some fantastic work. I mean, just
Thank you.
anything you touch has been great. I've been falling in love with a lot of your work
Thank you, Dane.
lately, but a lot of our fans are tiny ghosts. They come from the Funko world and stuff like that, so they may not be very familiar with everything you've done and how you got there. So really, I always like to start with the origin story. How did you get into art, and what was your journey to go from artist, designer to toys?
Sure. We actually have a presentation for you guys to visually be able to show you my brief history on how I started creating toys and formulating the Quicks brand. So
Awesome.
Carlo
Yeah, there
can
you go.
help me do that.
Yeah, here you go. Let you share that.
Love the
Make
colors.
me look much better and more professional than we ever are
Thank you. Thank
usually. So that's fantastic.
you. So yeah, here it is, guys. My name is Quicks. Our presentation will show you my story, the global impact, and my mission and vision. So, yep, next please. That's me as a kid. Like any other artist, growing up as a child, I had my own inspirations. The way I got exposed to art and what I do now was heavily inspired by the things that I grew up with. Next slide, please. So just like any other 80s kid here in the Philippines, I grew up watching a lot of shows, mostly Japanese and American shows on television. A lot of them were the Japanese super robots shows like Bioman, Voltes 5, Shider. And then, of course, I was also heavily influenced by G.I. Joe Transformers era of US based cartoon shows and Gundam. But that came maybe in the early 90s in the Philippines for me. Next slide, please. Also in the, I'd say mid to the late 1990s, I was heavily influenced by the hip hop culture of the United States. I listened to a lot of Notorious B.I.G., Wu-Tang Clan, um, Tupac Shakur, and Bone Thugs and Harmony, people like that. Next
Ah,
slide, please. And during the late 90s, I was exposed to a lot of the graffiti scene in the States. We didn't have a graffiti scene here in the Philippines back then, but I was exposed to this website called artcrimes.com, which was already up in the early stages of the internet. When we had internet finally in the 1998 to 1999, 2000 here in the Philippines, artcrimes.com was like a heavy inspiration for me because I saw a lot of the graffiti scene from all around the world from that website. And one particular artist or a couple of artists that I looked up to heavily during that time was this France-based couple who goes by the name 123 Clan, Cyan and Chlor. Because back then I was in first year college, and I was already thinking of building a career around the graphic design. And these artists combined graphic design and graffiti in such a unique and inspiring way. So I heavily looked up to them in terms of style and aesthetics. Next slide, please. So yeah, as a graphic designer, creative director, and a graffiti artist and toy designer, these are my main occupations after college. Next slide, please. So here are some of the examples of my work during the stint that I had as a freelancer and as a part of the Burnwater Design Studios graphic design business that Carlo and I co-own at the moment. Um, Next slide, please. These are like my corporate graphic design works, and this is one example of my earlier murals that I did in the Philippines.
Nice.
Next slide, please. And of course, as a toy designer, I was able to like explore my art all the more, which I will later discuss how it started. Go ahead. So this is my actual first version of Tech 63. Uh, I actually hand sculpted the first ever one with the hopes of teaching myself how to sculpt and mold at the same time.
Wow.
And from that first version of Tech 63, it gradually what they call that evolved into other Tech 63s
Right. Yep.
through the years. Next slide. So this is one of the things that I usually teach people who ask me why you do what you do. So your art should stand for what you believe in, the subcultures you adore, and your passions, and not simply what is trendy. Because if you do this, um, it comes out naturally to you, and you'll love what you do. The toys, the design of your toys will come out naturally, and yeah, you'll enjoy the trip. You'll enjoy the whole process of it. Next slide.
Agreed.
Oh, in terms of global impact through the years, since I started the Tech 63 concept and brand of the entire Bullet Punk brand, I was lucky enough to be able to travel around the world to do my graffiti and to participate in conventions, in toy conventions, to meet the fans and sell some of my stuff. So these are the countries that I was able to visit during my earlier years.
So, question on this. I mean, with your graffiti,
Yes.
did the tech start off as a toy, or your sketch as an artist in graffiti first?
It actually started as a sketch,
Okay,
but with the toy in mind already.
with a toy in mind, and then the
So
character.
actually,
Nice.
yeah, a great question for me to answer. The first thing in mind that I had in designing Tech 63 was to combine the main influences that I discussed earlier. I wanted a character that embodied graffiti, um, hip hop, and the Japanese robots that I would watch during as a child. So if you combine those three, I came up with a tech.
Oh, I also learned recently that
Yeah.
Tech 63 stands for technique, and 63 is also the country code of the Philippines.
Yes, yeah. So if you check out our cell phone numbers, it's the prefix plus 63. So I combined technique and plus 63 just to say to everyone that this is from the Philippines, basically.
Mhm.
A technique from my country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next. These are just like yeah. Next, you can skip this. This is some of my like awards and recognitions.
There are many.
And some of the pictures that the warm reception that I had in the States when I was beginning to do the shows in Clutter magazine, Clutter Gallery, and My Plastic Heart in New York.
I learned a lot. So last week you had a show on the Bullet Punk Network with Clutter
Yes.
Toys, right, in season.
Yes.
And you spoke a lot about your first shows in New York, or your first shows in the
Yes.
States in general, right? And you brought with you the, I think at the time it was, I don't know if the time it was the pink, was it the Pink Text, or that was a different show? But your first shows there,
Oh, yeah.
what were they?
My first solo show happened in the Clutter Gallery in Beacon, New York. But
Yep.
before that, I would join a lot of the group shows that they had, wherein they'd invite a lot of artists to participate, maybe 20 to 30 of us. that happened early 2013, 2014, 2015, and I would submit my own custom designs,
Right.
or in some cases bootlegs of like dunnies,
Yeah, I
which
saw
are
some of
usually
the like the resin dunnies you did with
yes, yes,
the tech figure. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So prior to
Some of
my
these.
solo show in there you go. Prior
Yeah.
to my solo show in the Clutter Gallery, I was already participating in group shows that Clutter Gallery had early in my earlier years of my toy designing stint.
Okay.
Um, I'd usually submit resin pieces during that time, during the earlier years, just to like put my name out there, be
Yeah.
recognized in the U.S. market, which was exactly what happened.
I mean, I think it's funny
Um,
because a lot of people see you now and they're like, "Oh my God, it just blew up overnight," because you're everywhere now, right?
no, it was like a really long grind for us,
Right. I think it's an
starting
important
from
thing for
2012.
people. We talk to a lot of people that want to make their own toys because they're look. It's a new generation of art
Hmm.
and a lot of toy collectors, and everybody wants to make a toy now. Of course, it's like the cool
Yes.
thing.
Well, I
But
can
it's just
definitely
like
say
anything
that.
else art. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go
No.
ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I definitely say that there are a lot more artists out there nowadays. But even prior to my own designs, there were already a lot of like other artists who were doing toy designing, such as like Huck or even Sket One,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, or their names aren't in my head at the moment.
Or
Ron
Of course,
English.
Huck,
He
of
everything.
just
course.
started early.
Yeah, we do
Ron English.
Ron
recognize
English.
Michael Lau as like starting all of it
Yeah,
during
at
the
all the
early
at all the
99.
cons, my history in toys for the last I don't know 6 years of doing it. I work a lot with propaganda, so I'm good
Oh,
friends with
propaganda.
like
Yes.
we're good friends with MD and
Uh,
Paul
nice, nice.
and those guys. So I've been working with them at like many of their cons every year. So New
Yes.
York Designer Con, everything. And so I've
Yeah.
gotten to know Ron English really well because he's always
Yeah,
there,
Ron English.
hanging out.
Ah.
One of the
Between Ron
OGs.
English and Lev from Toy Tokyo, and so they
Yes.
really opened my eyes early on as kind of my early collection of Funko and different smaller things to seeing, and they also cost me a lot of money because they started showing me a bunch of stuff. I have a massive Ron English collection too, just by nature of working with them and the different
Nice.
people like all the Futura, the Futura toy stuff that I've been getting now, stuff like
That's
that. So
really cool.
it's been an amazing time, but it is the question I was gonna have, or the things I like to tell people is, it's not like it happens overnight. All of those guys put in so much time to build up what they do.
Yes.
Like you're telling
Exactly.
now, like way back when, 2013, just getting in any show, it's a grind. It's not like somebody shows up like, all right, you're gonna sell in 6 seconds now every day. You know?
No. And I have like collectors that have been with me since day one who can attest that
Yep.
it was so easy to get my stuff back then. Everyone was chill. Very casual. If you wanted a Quicks item, one of my earlier resins back then.
Yeah. Now it's
Yeah,
like
but
the most sought
we're
after
really
pieces ever.
really honestly blessed with those collectors who are still with us even up until now, since things got hard for everyone. Since now since the demand is obviously higher
Mhm.
nowadays,
Oh
um,
yeah.
we're not able to like please everyone. But yeah, we're just blessed with like really loyal collectors
Yep.
from day one till now. Yeah. Yep. Shall we proceed? Yeah, go ahead,
Yes.
Carla.
Yes.
I'll make it fast. Yeah, like it's my other shows. It's pretty wild that some people are getting tattoos with my
Isn't that crazy?
characters
That's
on
got to be crazy, right?
it. And meeting all these people, very nice people, during my shows. Yeah, next, please. Of course, like what you said earlier, Damon, I was fortunate enough to win some of the awards at the Designer Tour Awards hosted by Clutter Gallery in New York. Next, please. Yeah, like what Dave said, Texas 3 stands for the 63 in Texas 3 stands for the air code in the Philippines. Next, please. Yeah. Here are just some of the pictures that what usually happens in the conventions in the Philippines. really, really blessed with a ton of support from the local collectors.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
would
so
say that I attribute a lot of our success in the Philippines from the Funko and Tiny Ghost fans as well.
Mhm.
Because for over since last year, I think there was a sort of movement or a trend from people who used to or still collect Funko Pops to finally recognize the world of designer art toys made by independent artists.
Oh,
So there
it's a
was
big
a
wave, yeah.
certain shift or movement or an expansion of their taste from Funkos to like the tiny ghosts and the other designer toys such as mine. So
Yeah, I
we're
would
very
say
very lucky for that.
Yeah, I would say that's a big trend, and I'm one of those.
Mhm.
Like, I started way back when, before I started going to cons and anything, just buying. I'm a big DC Comics fan, and
Yeah,
that's what I saw. So that's what I saw Funko, and I'm a big Masters of the Universe fan growing up in the '80s, right? So,
mostly.
so I saw Funko make these things for my childhood, and I just started buying them. Didn't even think about it. I didn't even think I was a collector or anything. I was just buying here and there, and then before you know it, I had way too many. But then when I started going to the cons and the shows and meeting other people, but yeah, definitely because I was in that space already with toys and being at the booths and everything, that's when I started getting exposed to other artists. And as you can see here in my shelves behind me, I have some Funko, but I have a
Yes,
lot of everything
that's really cool.
all over the
Well, I
Yeah.
place.
guess
Oh.
yeah, that applies to everyone. Like we tend to like gravitate towards the pop culture toys in the beginning,
Mhm.
stuff
Yeah,
that we grew up with, and then we start to like dwell into like the independently thought of
Mhm.
concepts and
yeah, because similar to you,
toys.
like I'll buy anything Voltron.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
anything. If I see like a
That's one of
Voltron
the
colorway, like yeah, I still don't have the tech Voltron. Yeah, but yeah, say that I
yeah.
missed that.
There you go. There you go.
I missed that one. But yeah, anything Voltron, I love. Anything Skeletor, any of that kind of stuff. Which, by the way, would look amazing on a tech. But
Nice. I guess that's like one of the strategies that we employ as artists to like hook people into like enjoying our stuff
hmm
is to like throw some pop culture references here and there. So even on my case, during my earlier years, I did a lot of like resin toys that were tributes to Star Wars and
Ooh. Cool.
other pop culture franchises. So I guess that's an effective way of like drawing in people as well.
yeah, I
And
think
then
so. I think you're
once
right.
they're
'Cause
in, that's when you introduce your own story. When you introduce your own art,
makes sense. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. To add to that, that's one of my main strategies in doing the Forbidden Text 63. Why it's in the Funko Pop
Mhm.
aesthetics or style was to like draw in, to like introduce myself to the Funko collectors. Like, hey, this is something that you're quite familiar with, but not exactly. It's like an
Yeah, because
independently
you even had it in
designed
a
thing.
box with a window.
Yes,
Mhm.
Because
the
a lot of your
Funko
stuff,
Pop
like
looking
I
texture.
have right here, I got the baby ghost, right,
Oh
and it's
yes,
in the bag tag, right.
nice,
And a lot more designer toys do it that way. But yeah, your Forbidden Tech line was in the box. Very similar kind of form factor. Very
very
familiar
similar,
form factor. Yeah.
and even the aesthetics, where the eyes are and
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
You're right.
how it's
Yeah.
built. And yeah, a little fun fact: the base of that Forbidden Text 63 was actually a Mickey Mouse from Funko Pop,
Ah.
the 011, and you can see
Ah,
that if you check out the feet, how the feet are positioned,
ah,
exactly the
okay.
same as the because inside the first prototype was a Mickey Mouse.
Ah.
That's
There you
funny.
go.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
we don't know
Next.
where that prototype. Do you still have that prototype, Quicks?
During my earlier years, unfortunately, it was like a regular error of mine to like mix up the main prototype with the other recasts. So it's
Oh.
somewhere out there. I just don't know who has it, and the only way you can find out if is you scratch the paint and like kind of take a part out of
Which they would never do.
and
So I wonder if they
to
even know
check.
they have it. Yeah. That's funny.
Yes, that was like a regular mistake that I did in my earlier years.
So somebody out there has the original prototype of something that they may never find out they have it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh wow! Right now, across the country, people are scratching up their
We're forbidden tech.
We're forbidden text trying to find.
You have to destroy it to find out.
Oh man.
Yeah,
We're,
but
we're
that
a
was
lot
one
more
of them.
careful about that, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
a lot
okay.
more
Now,
careful
now I'm
about
careful
that.
about that.
That's good. That's good.
Unfortunately, the forbidden tech was one of them. I made a
Okay.
mistake of shipping it as well.
Oh man, that's crazy.
All right, next
Go
slide.
ahead. Just here are just other examples of my collaborations with other people. So prior to the Adidas collaboration, I was fortunate enough to work on some shows that tied it up with basketball players and the Nike shoes and Secret Fresh Gallery here in the Philippines, which were very fun projects to work with. Next. Yeah, so just beyond the toys, I also have a vision of establishing the entire aesthetics and style and the lifestyle part of my brand. Um, Pretty much basically what my characters wear. I wanted to do a one-to-one version of them that people can actually wear themselves. So this is what we release from time to time nowadays: bracelets, bags, hoodies, masks, caps,
Nice.
T-shirts, and everything. Just to tie everything up into a lifestyle brand, not just toys. Next slide. And yes, from time to time I do like uh, curveballs, something that people don't expect. So people know me for doing the text, the Japanese hip hop looking robots. But I do like a fun project as well. What in particular, this one was with Kid Robot and Hello Kitty. I just wanted a re-envisioning of how Hello Kitty would look like in my universe. So we did this one.
Actually, it's funny because
Next.
I have a friend
So-
that doesn't. I mean, doing these
Yeah.
things, I think, exposes yourself to different fan bases. Because I have a friend who he doesn't collect tech, the original character, because he's definitely more of a kawaii collector. I guess is the way I explain it. More of the
Yeah.
cutesy stuff. But I showed him your Hello Kitty stuff, and now he's hunting them all down. And he showed me pictures yesterday that I'm really getting into this. He had the gold one.
Nice.
Gold one. He's been buying them like every time he could find it. So it's just funny, like you
Oh,
do a
thank
little curveball, but it appeals to a different audience, and so it's just it's
Mhm.
crazy.
Well, that's exactly my mission, is to expand my reach to not just my current ones, but I also want eventually to have something available for the girls or the
Mhm.
kawaii market.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
And, yeah. That's
I'm really
that's-
looking
that's-
forward to the Mariko one.
Oh, the Mariko one is really coming up soon. We're
Mhm.
we just had some delays due to the pandemic situation, but I'm sure they're about to be shipped within August. From
Nice.
what I heard.
And then
with,
same thing like
demos.
the Murtec, right? It goes along those lines. It's a little more of a form factor that when I was
Yes.
showing, I've been buying the Tech 63s and the more of the original toys you make. I just love the design and aesthetics of it. But my wife was like, I want one of those Murtecs. So I had to get the one from Mighty Jacks. I got the gold and black one.
Mhm.
Oh,
from
thank
Mighty
you. Thank
Jacks.
you.
I missed you had a Filipino colorway that I wanted, but sometimes you
Yes.
win, sometimes you lose. So
Oh,
but those
we'll
things
try
are
to help
they're
you
pretty
out
cool.
on that. We'll try to
Well,
find you one.
that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
We also had the Starbucks version that we released
Yes,
in
yes.
Singapore. For that particular toy, we were trying to speak more to the Sofubi kaiju collectors.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's just a little changes, and you can definitely see that it's still Quicks. You
Yeah.
definitely know it's your piece.
So that's
but
how
it's-
one of my strategies is to not just cage myself into a particular demographics.
While
I
we're at
try
it,
to
maybe you can answer the
envision-
question: what is with Singapore and Starbucks? Because I have a lot of friends there, and
They
they
love their
all
Starbucks,
ask me
right?
to go find Starbucks stuff for them, gift cards, cups, mugs, anything.
Right,
And
right,
they have
right,
more.
right.
Like my wife does a lot of custom work too, and you wouldn't believe it. Every single time it's a Singapore asks can you put a Starbucks apron on it? And
Well, you'll be
Really
surprised in the
copy.
Philippines that happens as well. A building would have 3 Starbucks. A mall would
Oh,
have
really?
4 or 5.
okay, well,
Yeah, they're pretty popular in the Southeast Asia region.
okay.
More than any other coffee shop, I'd say. Even in
'Cause I buy
Hong
more
Kong.
Starbucks gift cards to send to our friends in Singapore than any other country in the world.
Ah, yes, I believe that.
Yeah.
And yeah, That's we call that the Liat Orchard as a tribute to the first Starbucks in Singapore,
Okay.
which is still there actually.
Oh wow. Yeah.
We've had ours as early as 1990,000, and ours is still there actually
Nice.
in the Philippines. The very first Starbucks still exists. It's quite
Well, then I
popular.
learned when I was in the Philippines how popular the NBA is and LeBron James.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Huge.
huge.
Because we were
Well,
there
it's
2 years ago. We were there 2 years ago for ToyCon, and we were there for about a week. I took my son actually, my 15-year-old,
Nice.
and we were out there. And I remember learning there's a lot of American culture influences that are big, and NBA really big time. Because he was wearing a LeBron jersey, and there was like everybody's like, yeah, LeBron.
Believe it or not, it's our national sport in the Philippines. It's
Mhm.
basketball.
I'll tell you what, it's one of my football's first here in the United States, right?
Football.
So football is the big sport here.
American football, yeah.
American
you know.
football, yeah, be clear. But basketball, I miss it so much right now. I love it. So it's
Well,
a
they
shame.
just resumed it, but it just looks quite weird and surreal how they did it.
You're right.
The
Yes.
scrimmage of LA and Orlando Magic.
Yep.
That was quite surreal.
The whole
Not
playoff structure
seeing,
they're gonna have, where there's no audience and everything, it's gonna be
not
weird.
seeing
But
audiences and how they
I'll take
spaced
it.
everyone
But
in the
I'll-
benches.
yeah, but I'll take it because I miss.
Oh, yeah,
sports,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's still basketball. It was still great.
Yeah.
Still a
sorry
good
to
match.
sorry to derail, but
No worries, no worries. I love basketball too. Yep. Next slide, please.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Another collaboration that we're very proud of, the Swarovski one that we did with I Am Retro as well. That's a very limited number of Tech 63s that Swarovski jewelers actually worked on. But the edition count was like in the tens or in the fives. So these are very rare if you see them. Next one. Ah, yeah, so here we go with like the introduction to the Adidas collaboration that we're still on and will be doing so in 2 to 3 years. Within 2 to 3 years, starting from last year. Go ahead. Just my personal shoes, they look used.
his personal
I was
collection.
just like
Wow.
very, very proud that I owned like almost 30 pairs of them and kept them. Because I do use those old superstars for like when I do graffiti and stuff. So they're ready to be like splashed with paint and everything, not a problem.
Yeah, and you,
So, yeah,
you
we're
already had
doing
it kind of in your art to begin with, right? I mean, you kind of incorporated it as a big thing in your life and your lifestyle.
Oh yes, ever since college, I was a heavy fan of the superstars already, and that's the main reason why all of not maybe 90% of my toys always wear the superstars. It's
Yep.
my simple
Yep.
sort of tribute to the number one shoe and the brand that I like.
There could be a
But
more
yeah,
perfect
very
partnership there.
fortunate. Sorry.
I would say there could be a more perfect partnership than when you got with Adidas. Yeah,
Ah,
absolutely.
exactly. That's why we were very honored that the collaboration pushed through. Me being the first toy designer to earn a collab logo, and the first Filipino, like out of nowhere, like a random guy from the Philippines, be a creator of Adidas. Very happy for that happening.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, you go from you're just a fan of it, you incorporate it, and now you get to work with them to create them. I mean, come on, that's like a dream come true.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So it's a 2 year contract, and will dwell into like toy, shoes, and apparel for these next 2 to 3 years. Very excited about that. Next, we did like since the contract was very young, and we had to like had a project that we can turn over very fast. So we started off with like the nanotechs made by Devil Toys, and we designed them to like with the Adidas brands on them. And we were fortunate enough that the people here locally were very receptive to the release of that. A lot of people like lined up in the Adidas stores here in the Philippines to be able to acquire the shoes and the toy. And like what the presentation says, we were able to do it like on a easy level of like hype. A lot of people really wanted them.
Yeah,
Very
I
fortunate.
remember when that happened. I was reading about it, and yeah, it's. I mean, like I said, anything you. I mean, you have such a loyal fan base of people now, and
Yeah.
it's grown so much that anything you kind of put your name on and put out there, people are trying to get.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
super lucky to have our fan base at the moment. But yeah, I'd say like what you said earlier, it was a long process, a grind. It's not
Yeah,
an overnight thing.
yeah. So like a lot of people feel like because it doesn't hit mass market until, but once it hits mass market, there's already years and years of work put into it. But for a lot of
Yes.
people, what they get exposed to is when you hit mass market. And mass
Oh,
market's obviously a bad term, but for designer toys, I mean, when you start off doing resins, you're probably doing things in the single digits and,
Hmm.
maybe 10, maybe
20 to
5,
30s.
maybe,
20 to
yeah,
30.
exactly. Much lower numbers. And now when you're doing hundreds and it's still selling out really fast, people start getting exposed to it. And it makes it feel like it happened overnight to people, right? Like
True.
even Tiny Ghost, like it's like he drops anything and it sells out really. Again, we have 2,000 people in our group, plus there's a lot more people that collect than are in our group, and it's
Yes.
a form factor people fell in love with, and it sells out in seconds. But it took him there was years when he originally did like little 2-inch resin pieces and put it on
Hmm.
his personal web page, and they would sit there for months. The original Gold Ghost, which is an LE50, one of his first resin pieces, he couldn't sell them out on his website, so he took them to Emerald City Comic Con and finally sold them there at the Fugitive booth. And it
That's
took
really
all
cool.
day. And it took all day, and people were in line, and you got them. And but now you think about it, those are like the most sought after collectibles in his line.
I
But
know
you can't
the
get them.
chrome gold one, right? The chrome gold
Not
one,
even
right?
the chrome gold one. Those ones are relatively the old original like painted
The
gold.
resins.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
resins
my
and the
friend Jay
vinyls. Yeah,
actually has some of those resins.
yeah, we have them all. So I mean, like our
Yeah.
collection. If you see back, right there, we have like the original skeleton resin he did. There's only 2 pieces.
Whoa.
And the gold one, like my wife and I have been collecting Reis for a while, so we have like all the original resins, every piece, all the prototypes.
I'd
But
say
back then it
we have
was,
pretty similar, what do you call that, grind. Reason I
it
have
did
Hmm.
years. It
pretty
took,
much
and
a similar
and he's
grind.
still working at Funko, right? So
Yes.
he was doing it on the side, and it took years to build that up. But people feel like so. I see a lot of people that get into the toy mind. We actually do on our show talk to a lot of new toy designers that want to get into it, and that's the thing I tell them is like you gotta start with resin, hit the street, market yourself, grow it. It's not easy. There is no easy path to being successful.
Yes. And you have to be willing to like, I guess, give out calling cards to the blocks. That's what I did. A little tip for the younger artists out there. I give away a lot of my resins to the
Yeah,
toy blocks during my earlier
Mm.
years,
yeah,
just for them to like physically have them and talk about them. One of
yeah.
the
Get them out there,
strategies I
get people
employ.
exposed.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
also like your strategy you do where you're like you try different things because there's different audiences, there's different collectors, there's things that
Yes,
people like different things, right? And you can see
I
you have a
guess
very diverse
like
line.
yep. One of our main objectives in doing that is for us not to be as predictable. You know,
Mhm.
that's why we throw the curveball projects from time
Hmm.
to time, such as the Mertec and the Hello Kitty.
Yep.
Like people already know my style, and it's a brand that's been there for a few years already. So yeah, I want to like I throw in surprises from time to time.
Yep. Fantastic. Yeah, I think you have to.
Yep, that's basically it. This is like a mission and vision of the company, which was for what do you call that? Intended for the Adidas people. Let kids get
Ah,
this.
That's awesome. No, that's an awesome story.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say yeah. From hearing from you, Damien, I think Reese and I have a lot of similarities in our toy journey, as starting from resins to like where it is now, and slowly like growing our collector base.
Yeah,
That's really
absolutely,
cool.
absolutely. I think you're absolutely right, and the loyal fan base. I think you have a lot of similarity. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of crossover in the fan base. So we've been
Yes.
watching Reese kind of tease his custom tech work he's been doing because he got a mega tech and he's working on, and he worked on a regular
Yeah,
size one. And I know
that's
mhm.
he
nice.
came on your again. If anybody out there, if you have time, for us in the states, your show is on
Lunch.
Saturday
Saturday
afternoons,
lunch. Yes.
Saturday lunchtime. Check it
Yes.
out on the Bullet Pug Network. The show's awesome. You guys have great guests on. If
Mhm.
you want to learn a lot more about the work that you're doing and the people you're partnering with, Carlo runs it. Really
Yep.
good. One of my favorite ones was last week with Clutter Toys when they came on.
And she's in.
Fascinating story,
Yeah.
right? Because it went. I mean, they have such a experiences in designer toys, right? I can only imagine the stories
Oh,
they have,
yes.
but it was also cool because you were there live interacting with the chat and everything like that. So it really makes it feel like it really is a community project. It really is. You feel like you're part of something. But
Definitely.
go back before that. Reis came on for I think like 15 minutes of it or something like that at the end of the show and teased the collaboration, which started in art. Immediately, people were taking screenshots of your bullet point chat and putting it in the Tiny Ghost group. So everybody was asking a bunch of questions about what collab, what's going on. So without sharing, stuff you can't really talk about, share too much of, because I'm sure it has to be revealed in a certain way. Can you talk about that collab with Reis and Tiny Ghost?
Yep. So like back in November 2019, Carlo and I attended the New York Comic Con in New York, and we met Reis in person, and then we
He was
started
at the Martian Toy
mega show.
It was a mega show,
Yeah,
which was beautiful.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It was
And
like
we had a chat. Yeah, go ahead, Carlo.
yeah, so we had a chat with him, and we got to talking that we thought a lot of our communities had a lot of intersections, and we thought it would be great to do something for both. So that's where it started, and we messaged after that, and yeah, you'll see the results of that very soon.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to it. It's funny because it's been something that really, if you paid attention to the communities, has been teased for a really long time. Because we had a Tiny Ghost collector get a Quicks custom made on a Tiny Ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I think it was Chris?
Chris Bernardo.
Chris Bernardo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he posted it, and then Reis tagged you. Hey, look at this. Because Reis is the worst secret keeper that I know. Because he just gets so excited about things. He doesn't want to keep it secret. He wants to tell everybody. He wants to show things off. So it's kind of been a thread that we've known has been happening for a while. And I'm super excited that it's both ways. I'm super excited that there's going to be collab on the Tiny Ghost side, which is a first because he hasn't really done that. He's got customs, but he hasn't done an official,
Yes,
collab.
I've only done like a one-off. The piece you were talking about, I painted that for Doctor. The name escaped my name.
Oh yeah. That's actually
Who was that?
Wasn't Chris
Carlo?
Bernardo. It was
Dr.
Doc. He's a Filipino collector, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
One of
Doc.
our favorite collectors.
Let me find him on my message.
I know you're talking about though. Yeah, he's a big time.
Tony?
Yes. Doc Tony.
Doc Tony, yes. Doc Tony.
Doc Tony. Doc Tony.
Yeah, Doc Tony.
He was the one who commissioned me to do that actually.
Yep.
Last year.
That was the
2
very
years ago.
first.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that platform. And I've been seeing the Tiny Ghost here in the Philippines as well. Even before the Tech 63 hit the shelves of a lot of the toy shops here in the Philippines, I was already
Tiny Ghost
seeing
was already around.
Tiny Ghosts. Yeah,
Oh
because
yeah.
people who are into Funko Pops naturally gravitated towards the Tiny Ghost as well.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, one of
you
my
guys
favorites is
the Tiny Ghost
the
actually
one.
picked up earlier than my stuff actually.
Yeah, the distributor for that's Nico, and we had him on the show
Nico,
talking about
yes.
that, right? So Nico
course,
does the
Nico.
distribution of Tiny Ghosts in the Philippines, and they
Yes.
get quite a few exclusives out there too that are exclusive to the Philippines.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With
I
different
saw
retailers,
Manila, a Filipino colorway one. A Filipino colorway one was one of them,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah, he did that
Yeah.
one.
They have a ube
Which
queso
one?
one too.
Oh, the
Ube
ube
queso
queso
one.
one.
It's
Yeah.
really nice.
That one's my favorite.
They had recently the Luna
Oh,
White Lady.
White Lady.
White Lady, yeah.
Yeah, just
I saw
recently
that,
was
yeah.
the most recent exclusive there, which is really cool. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. But
I bought
you
one,
wanna-
but it's with my girlfriend, the one with glasses, because it looks like her.
oh, the nerdy
I
ghost.
got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I got it for her. That was way
Nice.
back last year.
So based on we're talking about the collaboration Tiny Ghost, but you've been doing collabs with people on the tech for a while. Can you talk a little bit
Yep.
about that strategy?
So we want to, of course, in my graffiti background, I have friends that I want to bring in to the market or introduce their art for the people who aren't aware of them yet. And so our strategy for the artist series of Tech 63 is to feature artists that have been either inspirational to me or are my actual friends. So we have artists like Tiki Wow, Sket One, who I've always looked up to, Cloud 2, of course, my crewmate from Singapore, in the graffiti world, he's considered like a deity.
Right.
That's how like instrumental he has been in the Southeast Asian graffiti scene all these years. And who else do we have, Carlo? People like
Uh,
Cloud9 or the people I
Lab,
met.
yeah.
Yeah, in my journeys in the states, in my conventions in the states, uh, um, I've been aware and have
Jesse from
known
Lab.
Clav. Yeah, a really creative artist, and I wanted to do something with him since he's been painting a lot of my works all these years. It was just proper for him to be introduced as one of the artists in the artist series. So yeah, to answer your question, it's more of like me giving it back to the OG people that I always looked up to throughout the years, and bringing in my friend artists who I think deserve to be like exposed to everyone else.
Well, I think
Yeah,
I
and
think
then
it's an awesome way of
yeah,
doing it. I think it's great though when people do
Thanks.
the
and then
collabs.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to add from a marketing perspective, the uh, Martian Toys has also always seen the tech as a platform, as a medium.
Mm.
So I think the artist series is a way of showing how versatile it is as a platform for various artists to do their art or do their personal style on it. So that's why
Exactly.
personally I feel good when I see people getting a tech and painting on it, similar to what your wife's doing, Damon, like that.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
it really that really bridges the gap for us, wherein it becomes like the next canvas, like the next Bear Brick or the next Dunny, which is the vision
Yeah,
for the tech really.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic because yeah, Dunny. I mean, that was like a platform. When you look back at designer toys, so many started by Kid Robot and the
Exactly.
Dunny platform, and so many artists working on it. Like that's when I first got exposed to Sket One with the Sket Racha pieces back then, because
Oh
it
yeah.
wasn't that I
Yes.
even knew. I didn't really have a lot of exposure to him as an artist other ways, but he painted something that I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I put sriracha
The
on every
Dunny.
single thing. Yeah, the Dunny, and then you obviously putting it on a Dunny. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
I
To
think that's
yeah. Sorry.
awesome. No,
To
no,
so
that's
add
it.
to that, what Dave is actually holding is one of the first projects that I worked with Kid
Oh
Robot,
yeah, these
the tech
guys.
Dunny. So back
Yeah.
in 2013 and 2014, like what I was saying, since producers weren't knocking on my door yet, I wanted to like introduce myself to the designer toy scene. And one of the strategies I used was to like bootleg the hell out of Dunnies. I came up with the hands and pocket Tech 3 baby techs during those years. And when 2015, 2016 came, the Designer Toy Awards committee by Clutter Magazine introduced the artist series of DTA, wherein they invited the artists from around the world to work on a Dunny series. So, of course, naturally, I submitted my baby tech Dunny. And yeah, it was a nice 180 turn from doing bootlegs to finally being able to
Finally be able to
produce
be
the
official.
legit, the official Kid Robot ones.
But
Yeah.
that's
So the story about these actually, these two are actually my very first Quicks pieces,
There you go.
and I got them from a friend in the Bullet Punk network, Edwin. He just is like, here, you could have these. I was like, oh
That's really cool. That's really
yeah.
cool.
So these are what got me
Yeah.
into got me
So
into
like
it.
yeah, what Damien said, it was a very effective way of introducing my brand to the U.S. market,
mhm.
the Kid Robot Daddy project, definitely.
Yeah. I think it's and I think I see that now with the Tech 63 platform. You see things like Doom Vader, uh, that's just resonates with people that they may not know your work, but they're like, oh my god, I'm the biggest, Doctor Doom fan in the world, and that's amazing looking. Or yeah, or Voltron,
Yes,
or even like I have the Phase One scat piece too, if you're familiar with his art.
yes,
Or
of course.
it just you're right, it just introduces in your Martian Toy Show in New York Comic Con. There's pictures out there people can go look for the Martian hat. That was amazing to see what people were doing, how creative people were. You're like, hey, here, take a Megatech and do what you do.
Oh, we're
You
super
know,
blown away. Yeah,
I was
by
blown.
what
So I
people
was
do.
right next door at the. I was working at the Toy Tokyo booth, during the show. I was helping out there, and I remember seeing online because one of my favorite artists is Jason Freeney, and he did,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
me too.
and I went over and this is funny. It's a kind of a funny story. I was like day one. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go over there, and I think when I get some time, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna try to get that piece. So naive, so stupid of me. I should have gone there before it opened.
You wouldn't have had a chance because I already elbowed Aaron to like keep that one for me.
Oh shit!
So
Well,
it's
there
me.
you go. So you know what? That makes
I
me
kept
feel
it.
a lot better. That makes
I
me,
took
that
it
thing
home,
was
David.
amazing though. Wait,
Yes.
pull up. I know I've seen you have on
Yeah.
video since that. That makes me feel a hell of a lot better because I had no chance
Yes.
at all. Good. So it's not that I
Yeah,
failed.
yeah.
I had no chance. Okay, good.
It's in my office, and you're free to check it out and hold it when you get to visit us.
I would love to because I
Yeah,
saw it
I
there.
saw it
Man,
there too.
that guy is so good, so meticulous. His sculpting
Yep.
is unbelievable. That guy.
And in
So,
particular, that's why I really fought for that piece even before the show started. Was it's quite rare for Mr. Freeney to like paint only on toys. He usually
Yes.
does his cups. So he did the paint only custom on that Megatech, and he was telling us a large part of it was due because of the time constraints. But that made it
Yes.
all better for me because he rarely does that. The
yeah,
paint
because he's
only
done that with
kind.
like the Mario figures.
Mhm.
I followed the whole process of the tech on
Yeah,
his Instagram because he was showing his progress pictures. And I do
exactly.
remember that he's like, "Oh my god, I got to get this done for New York Comic Con." And it was a time constraint piece, but it turned out amazing. And I remember seeing it
It
there.
did.
That was
I
anyway. That
did
was funny.
want to take home a lot of other megatechs from that show, but I controlled myself, and
That would have
I
been
wanted.
funny if everybody would have been like, "Nobody got anything. Where are they?" And then you show a picture of your
I
office, and they're all there, like, "Oh,
brought
it's a
it
good
all.
show."
Yeah,
Thanks
I restrained
everybody.
myself in getting like one or two or three of them.
Or
Not
three.
not like
I'd
but
be
the
the same
others
way.
we acquired like legally already. Like Carlo actually like lined up for it and everything. So I wanted to like give everyone a chance to like take home one of the pieces from the show. So I didn't get all the pieces that I wanted.
No, but
Just like
it was an amazing show,
special.
Yeah, I'm
and I
hoping
hope
to
you
see
enjoy more of
another.
that.
Yeah, same
Hope to
here.
We
see.
hope so too. We hope so too. Like
Hope to see.
it would have I would have never imagined that the Text Q3 design that I did in 2016, that particular one, would blossom into like a platform. Of course, when we did the very first resin pull of that particular Text Q3 design, we already knew that it was quite special.
Mhm.
But we would have never imagined that it would um, blow this much up to the point that now I think we have 52 colorways out there
Yeah.
over 3 years. I would have
It's-
never
it-
imagined that. I would have
Well, I
been
mean, it's
happy with
a.
like 12, to be honest.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great product, and it's a great platform, and people have been doing amazing things. And a lot of the ones that I actually have, you probably know him too. You know Jace, right? The collector. He's like a massive collector of yours. He buys everything. It's funny at Decon. That's when they first introduced the Mario and Luigi
Mm,
colorways
yes.
at Toy Tokyo, and
I
I still don't have the set. But funny story, because again, it's all community driven. Jace tried the lottery. He didn't get the lottery. I won the lottery.
Oh,
So I gave mine to him
nice.
because
It's
I
good.
knew I was like, oh, you know what? I'll find them. I just knew. I knew what to collect, and it's not that like like well, he collects more, so he deserves it more. But he's a great guy. He's been a good friend for years, and it was just like the right thing to do. And it just goes to show like when you really start collecting as a group, I always say collecting is a team sport because it's really hard to
Yes.
do it on your own.
Yeah.
And
I
so
agree
anyway,
with that.
I remember that set, that colorway, talking about the nod to pop culture of people are fans of, like your Nintendo ones, your retro sketch, and the Super Nintendo ones. Like
Yes.
they're all awesome. I mean, they just
Mhm.
speak to people's nostalgia.
Yes, and I'd say you collect what you relate with, or you surround yourself with these
Yep.
collections.
Yeah.
A lot of
That's the.
them, you'd start with the stuff that reminds of your childhood, right?
Yes.
So the connection. So that's our
Yeah.
one of the reasons why we insert like pop culture references to some of our releases is to establish the connection very fast, and
Yeah.
then introduce the other stuff.
This was
After
actually
we
my
go
very
over.
first one.
Yeah,
Oh, the
the
Boba
fat
Fett?
one.
Yeah.
That was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot of people actually
Yeah.
first got introduced on that one. I remember that was probably the first one I remember finally getting emails from people asking, "Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Come and drop it." That
Yeah.
probably was like one of the first texts that I started getting on the radar of people asking about a lot. So
That's
it kind of
really
crossed
fun.
over.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
you
there,
also
yeah,
do, you also do collabs with other people, like the CanBot line recently. You've done quite a few.
yeah, but it's CZ
Yeah,
13
CZ, yeah.
from UK.
Yep.
That was a
So
really fun platform. That started out back in New York Comic Con as well. Clutter Gallery sent me just one of their prototypes, the unpainted ones, and I painted just one of them in the Martian Toys headquarters. I painted them in the apartment, and they really liked it. So they told me that why don't we make this as like one of the colorways for this platform. So that's how the CanBot collab started. Actually, it was from just a painted prototype that I did that they liked enough to like mass produce.
it's crazy how those little decisions or how little events kind of spin off things, right?
Oh, totally, totally.
Yeah. And the same thing for him. When you look at CZ kind of creating his first vinyl piece now, and that blowing up. Another great guy who's an awesome artist, and
Yep.
the collabs help each other, right? So what happens is that, well, maybe people don't know him or CanBot necessarily, but when you do a piece, now that everybody's aware of your work at this point, all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we have to get all that. And then they get exposed to his heart, and it doesn't stop there. So they buy the Quicks piece, but then like, oh, I like this platform. They start collecting CanBot.
Exactly what happened, and exactly what we were going for.
Yeah, that's
it's
what
cool
I'm really
that
excited
happened.
about. That's what I'm excited about with the first step of Tiny Go. The first time Reis has done a collab at all,
Yep.
because he usually
the,
just kind
the
of
marriage
keeps
of
it.
our groups, like the marriage of our groups would be like really
Exactly,
cool.
and there's already a lot of
We're
that.
excited
There's
for
already a
that.
lot across collecting there.
Yes.
One question I have for you is there an artist that you have yet to have do a tech that you would love, like the Grail?
A lot of them.
Oh, I'm
There
sure
are
you
a
do.
lot
I'm
of
sure you do.
them. Yeah, but yeah, you want me to name names?
Yeah, let's name a couple names.
On top of the list, but I don't. It's what do you call it? The probability of it happening is probably low because he doesn't do much collabs. Cause.
Oh yeah.
Cause. I'd like to like work with Fatura someday, just because he's like considered one of the OGs as well of graffiti. So it would be like a big honor for me to have like a Futura Tech63. Michael Lau, godfather of designer toys in the first place.
Yep.
Like the root of all roots, I guess. Like the guy who like made it all possible for us. Michael Lau from Hong Kong. One of the guys that I want to work with someday as well.
Awesome.
Who else? I'd love to work with just trying to like figure out Ron English. Ron English is one of the other guys.
That would be cool.
that
I would like to see it both ways. I'd love to see you working on his pieces.
Yeah.
And then him.
I already have it in my head, like a grinning tech. A tech with a grin on it. A tech with a grin on it.
That would be amazing.
In my head.
Bimtoy, that has to
Tiny
happen.
Ghost is one of
like
my-
unmasked tech.
The Tiny Ghost is a dream come true for me as well. Yeah. Tiny Ghost is a dream come true for me as well because I'm not a secret, a tiny secret that I'd tell you now is we've been looking a lot on the group, how the group started and how the group functions. And we actually like what they call that got inspired to like how we drew our own group of collectors in the Bullet Club Network by watching toy groups, collector groups such as the Tiny Ghost community. So
we try to keep
it's a dream collaboration for us.
One of the biggest things we did recently to turn it back more of a community is we separated sales from community.
How is that? How did that?
We actually have two groups now. We have the marketplace group.
Yeah.
That's where all sales go, and we have the community group. And I tell you what, because it was starting to get to the point because it gets so big and you have so many members and it's just so many sales and in search ofs, and you lose the conversation. You lose the community part of it. And so we were kind of unsure about how
if it's like the feed is all like sale.
Yeah, the feed is all like, hey, got this for sale, got that for sale. We have a lot of rules too. Like we don't let people sell things more than it has to be out for 30 days before they start, reselling it at higher prices and
Yes,
stuff
we do
like
that too. We do that too.
Yeah, you gotta maintain some. We know the aftermarket's there. We don't go like witch hunting and looking for it. We don't. That's too much. That's just not fun. But
Yeah,
but we do have control in our group what you do, and that's what we try to do. And it
that's
went
really
really
good.
well. So it went from like a sale post every second post, and it's hard to interact with those, to now it's very helpful, community driven. It's really done a lot for us. As a matter of fact, it was a suggestion from Joe Bottleneck. He was asking us because we collab really closely with Reis, of course, and then Joe and Narceny with the releases in the group. I'm sure similar to you guys do with your admins and how you guys run things, right? And Carlo's always
Yes,
doing giveaways and second shots, and you're giving early opportunities to group members that are loyal fans because you want to get your
yes,
stuff to the fans.
of course.
And so the
It's
second
a
thing they
main
did is they do
objective of the group. Yeah.
yeah,
But
and they do the Paradorable Society at Bimtoy, which is big, where you pay a membership, one-time membership fee, and you get early access to releases,
that's cool.
which is cool. And then they do a lot of group drops, so they'll go through and if they have to delete bot orders and stuff like that, then they re-release them
Yep.
in the group. So they do a lot of effort to get it to fans' hands.
Oh yes, we do
Yeah.
a lot of
Appreciate it.
that effort too, and we're fortunate
Yeah.
enough to work with people who put in extra work to just um, give it back to the community.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
bot
I
orders
appreciate
from
what. Yeah, I've been appreciating what Martian Toys has been doing with
Mhm,
even putting up those the fake posts where it's
mhm.
overpriced and just to catch those
The
bots.
ARO and the
Yeah,
bot
yeah, and
traps, the
I'm
bot
starting to
traps.
do ARO just because it really does help too.
That's really
So,
Yeah,
cool. Thank you.
hmm
yeah,
We like that you appreciate it because people think it's like a cash grab or a method for Martian Toys just plainly to sell other stuff. But no, it's actually like a good measure to
hmm
separate the botters and the
hmm
flippers from the real
yeah,
yeah.
collectors. So
Well,
hmm
there's
it's
such an
and
advantage.
at the end of the day, it's an option. If you don't like it, then go for
Then
the
don't.
natural method.
Yeah,
You
go the
know.
natural method. I think Martian Toys is a good example from when you're trying to edit these sites and put things up and put products up. The bots have such an advantage because they're not humans reading a website. They go backdoor. They can look at links. They can follow. My background is in software engineering. That's what I do
Mhm.
for my day job. And the way they do it by putting it up at the high price, and then you could do the arrow token to bring it down. It's like a much easier way to ensure that it's launched fairly.
hmm
Yes, you have to be human
'Cause-
to be able to go through the
yes,
process, right?
exactly, because it's there. And then, Fugitive Toys just did that with the Neko Ghost lot release too over San Diego Comic Con. They put up a page, $10,000, and then and we're actually funny story. We're actually meeting with Nelson. We're interviewing him tonight for the show because we've been broadcasting like literally 12 hours a day for the last 4 days.
Mhm.
And one of the guests is Nelson from Fugitive. He'll be on tonight. And I'm interested to ask him because they tweeted out afterwards, like, no, we don't do refunds on orders. So
Ouch.
Someone must have ordered.
somebody must have ordered a $10,000 Tiny Ghost.
Well, Martian Toys doesn't do that, but they automatically ban people who
hmm
Yep.
mistakenly buy them for the high price.
Yeah.
So yeah, like what you
So
said, people still
there,
do buy them at the ridiculous
there's a few.
prices.
Yeah, there were a
Yes,
few
but
orders,
they
I think, of the
yes, exactly.
$2,000 tech. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Martian Toys refunds them, but bans
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
permanently.
But there's
They
no
got bad,
point.
yeah.
I'm sure people tested it. Like they're like, I've seen threads where people said they bought it and then they tried to get the partial refund. Like, oh, I didn't realize. My bad. Can I just get it for the normal price? Like, no, you're not getting it. Well, here's the refund.
Wow,
I can see people testing that out.
that's crazy.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, going back to my point, we've been watching your group before we started ours.
You guys are doing a great
yeah,
job because I'm in there. You have a great community, great group of
hmm
collectors. Carlo does a fantastic job. He drives a lot of
Yes.
Oh yeah,
excitement with the
definitely,
releases.
definitely.
Your interaction, it feels very similar to the community that we built with Reis as well. And I think
Yeah.
that's what people appreciate. And at the end of the day, I always say this. I may start buying your toys because I see something I like, but I continue because of the person behind it. And I've met you on a few occasions, whether it be New York Comic
Definitely.
Con, DCon, I ran into you. You're walking around with Alex early before the show started. and you've always been a super nice guy. And you're thinking like,
Thank you,
here's this
Damon.
guy on top of the world, that you're just bringing humility and an
Wow.
approach to what you're doing, and it makes it even more enjoyable to collect your stuff. It really does. 'Cause
Thank you,
collect
thank
the
you, man.
person behind it, and I really appreciate everything you're doing, and
I
love your
appreciate
work.
that. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and thanks you guys for joining us. I mean, I want to be respectful of your time. We're at the hour, and
Oh, yeah.
also appreciate it for everybody who knows we're giving away a Doom Vader Tech 63
Yeah.
that you guys are
Yeah.
providing, and we will have details for that throughout the show as we play it, and I'll let you guys know who's lucky enough to score that piece. I do have one here, so I'll show some pictures of it when we go live with it, so people know, and I'll let you know.
Cool. Yeah. Good luck, guys. Good luck.
Yeah,
joining
thank you
us.
so much
Congratulations
for
in
your time,
advance.
and keep the show
Oh, you're
going.
welcome,
Yeah,
and
so,
thank you for having us. Thank you for having us. And
No,
we're
thank
super
you.
excited
Yeah.
for the collabs with Reis. We're very, very looking
Yeah.
forward to them.
And we'll have you on for that. When we announce the collab finally, we'll have you on the show. with
Oh,
Reese.
that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. That'd be awesome. I'd
Yeah.
love to be there. Yeah, that'd be great. 'Cause I can't wait for that as well. All right. Thanks,
All
guys.
right,
Hey,
thank
have a
you,
good
guys.
night. I know it's
Thank
late
you
there. So
guys.
thanks
Thank
for
you,
your time.
Damien.
Yeah, no, thank you.